Hello and welcome to the third installment of the For the Community podcast. I'm joined by Ryan and David today. Today we're going to be talking about the healthcare and drug crisis in Hamilton, which is obviously pretty bad. So seeing as we're all from Hamilton, do any of you guys want to share any insight or anything you guys have witnessed, or any of your thoughts about the drug and healthcare crisis in Hamilton?
Yeah, so, growing up here, as we did, I think anytime you go downtown, you're bound to see at least one person who is clearly on drugs. And I think that's something that sticks with you, Like, I think every time I've been down, there's at least one. Like, I remember once my mom and I went to Jackson Square, and we were in Tim Hortons, and somebody beside us was just screaming at the newspaper and was just clearly out of it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty scary, to be honest. But it's stuff like that, and then growing up and, learning more about it, that it's always been a problem in Hamilton. And even with my mom, she grew up downtown, and she'd always tell me stories about, all the people they'd see downtown, and a lot of it was drug involved, and it's been a problem, and it's still a problem, and I think it's getting worse as it goes.
Yeah, and it's definitely been a large problem, and it's typical just to if you see someone like a homeless person or someone that's looks in rough shape, you kind of just a lot of people assume if I give him money, he'll just spend it on drugs or whatever, which sometimes it could obviously be true, but not all the time. But I think it's definitely for that typical thing, it's definitely it's in their hands to kind of get over that. We can offer them rehab programs and social programs like that, and obviously help provide them with the right health care. But drug addiction is kind of a problem that has to be solved by each individual making an effort.
Yeah, and the city has taken steps to help as much as they can with setting up overdose centers and stuff. And even though in 2020 already there's been 85 incidents related to opioid overdoses, which is absurd. That's a lot. And even going back further, in 2018, 123 people died from opioid overdoses. And it's just we need better help for these people and places for them to go to actually get that help.
Yeah, these are clearly alarming statistics. From my personal stories, I had friends that worked downtown, in the Walmart and Fortinos and stuff. And they would always, every week they had a story about something or someone that came in that was clearly inebriated and intoxicated, doing something that wasn't that was frowned upon or something like that. So they always had stories. So I know how bad it can be, even if I don't live down there and stuff. But so why do you guys think this is such a big issue? Why do you think this is, especially in Hamilton? Because so since 2012, ER visits for stimulants, so crystal meth and stuff like that, have rose by over 1,000%. So I mean, that just goes to show how bad it really has become, and it looks like it's not getting any better. So what do you guys think, and why do you guys think that this is such a big problem?
I think that a lot of it has to do with poverty and the standard of living around downtown and in downtown, and it's these people grow up around it, and if they try it once, that's pretty much it. A lot of the drugs downtown, and opioids especially, super addictive. Even just trying it could literally ruin your life. And I think that these people, if they're really deep in poverty and there's not a lot going well for them, they might just turn to that to escape from it. And then once you do that, it's just a vicious cycle, and you just keep going further into it. And then as you get more addicted, if you can't afford it, you start doing whatever you can for it, and selling everything and doing it. So it just kind of puts you further in poverty. And I think that, poverty is probably the main contributor to that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, one, like, definitely, like, feeds into the other. Like, if you're already, like, growing up in, like, an underprivileged family and, like, you know, you're essentially, like, living in hunger and poverty, these sort of things, like, kind of influence, like, how one might act and how they might give into temptation, because it's just like an easy escape, or like an easy high for them when, like, their life has been, like, so hard.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to talk about like David mentioned, this vicious cycle that people are in when it comes to drugs, and how it just sticks with them. And there's an increased risk of opioid overdose upon leaving jail, which just shows this vicious cycle that people are in. Do you guys care to comment on this, like how this cycle works and how people are just keeping being hooked on drugs and stuff?
So I think with the jail thing, it's like if you go to jail for like a drug related thing, you go back and then you come back, it's like there's not a lot of support and there's not a stigma around people that come out of jail. So it's like it's hard for you to get like an improvement on your life or go get a job, and you might just fall right back into the same routine and end up back in jail.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, happens to a lot of people in relation to that.
Yeah, in terms of, like, healthcare, obviously Ontario, we have OHIP, and it's, like, free healthcare, essentially. Well, we pay it through our taxes, but, so it allows for, like, it helps them because it allows for them to, like, get the coverage they need and, like, the social programs, but, like, it's more of, like, a psychological problem more than a physical. They need to, like, say, like, therapy or something like that might help, because they need to want to stop the drugs for anything to actually work. So once they get that mindset, then, like, we have the programs in place that can allow them to do that. I know it's obviously harder than it sounds, but I think that's like the first step.
I think it's important to acknowledge that drug abuse and drug addiction is like a mental health problem, and so we really need to be like aware of that and make sure we have important systems and foundations in place so that these people can get the right help and get the right care that they need, and just have people around that, like, care about them so they don't fall back into this lifestyle. And it all ties back into the same thing about throughout all our podcasts that we talk about, like a structure, like a base, like a foundation, so that people can get out of poverty, so that they can get out of their addiction to drugs and stuff like that. So it's just really important to have, people around you that care about you and that support you, so that you can get off your feet and become clean and stuff like that. And obviously, it's a daunting task. Like becoming clean and stuff, so it's definitely not easy, but the more support systems we have in place in order to help these people, the better the chances of success are.
Yeah, and I think that there's a big, like, stigma around, like, people who have been addicted to drugs or, like, are starting to do them. It's like people don't want to help them. They think, like, oh, they're just crazy, and they don't recognize that it is a mental health issue and that they need help. And you can't just, like, leave them to do it, because they will end up dying.
So what do you guys so there's been this big talk about, so we're legalizing marijuana now. It has been legalized, and what do you guys think about that whole situation? And do you think any further drugs should become legal in order for the safety of them to improve so that people can regulate them? Because there's a lot of things going on with fentanyl that has been lacing drugs and stuff like that. So do you guys think this is a good idea, or what kind of steps should we take to make sure that people are more safe when taking drugs and stuff like that. So we have less deaths and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think this is definitely like a difficult topic. Could be very like subjective, but it varies from person to person. In terms of any other drugs, I don't, at least have my knowledge, see any other drugs that like if you legalize them that they would benefit society. Because like if you even legalized, I don't know, cocaine or something, like it wouldn't benefit society if people were running around like, you know, high on cocaine, just as much as it would if they were dying from it. Like marijuana is obviously like, it helps some people like for medicinal purposes and stuff. So legalizing it obviously increases like tax revenue. Government can tax it, and it obviously eliminates that portion that's like sold on like the black market and stuff that could be laced. So
I think more of my question was, how do we make like drug use like safer? You know, it doesn't have to be legalization, but how do we make it safer for the community? Because of the stigma and because it is illegal, people are taking it, you know, in shady areas, getting it from shady places, not taking
sharing needles.
Yeah, not taking the safe precautions necessary because it is illegal and stuff like that. So I was just thinking, like, what are some ideas or things that can happen so that like drug use can become more safe, so we have less deaths?
Yeah,
I think that Hamilton has programs. I don't know what they're called, to be honest, but it's where, like, I think there's safe injection places where like they'll give you clean needles if you are doing it, and they also have places that will like give you naloxone, which is a medication that reverses the effect of opioid overdoses. And in 2020 alone, they've already had to distribute 2,770 doses of it, which yet again just says a lot about the volume of people that are doing this. And as for making it safer, I think that safe injection places and like helping people that are overdosing and offering these clinics, I think, are really good steps.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to say like a reduced stigma would help as well, like that like people aren't scared and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like the goal to try and make drug use safe is kind of like a lost cause. Like you can help, but like the main goal would be to stop the drug use like in total, like instead of actually just helping people use illegal drugs is kind of defeats the purpose of getting them off it. I mean, for temporary, like they obviously need if they need it, like you can obviously do that in like a structural way and like a clean way. But in the long term, I feel like the eradication of like the drugs is like the ultimate goal.
Yeah, of course, that's always the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But we can't forget about like, so opioid deaths in Hamilton are 111% higher than the provincial average. So I mean, that's something that we got to take seriously. Like hundreds of people each year are dying from this. So in 2018 there was 124 opioid related deaths. And just statistics like these where hundreds of people each year are dying from opioids, like, just because they're on drugs doesn't mean, like, we can't help them out. Obviously, the end goal is eradication so that less people are on these drugs. But I think in the meantime, we need these support systems so that they can be safe and not overdose and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that, like, fully getting rid of them is, obviously the main goal, but it's such a long-term process. And I think that a good start is helping people safely do them if they're going to choose to do them, because a lot of the infections and like bad health risks with it is like sharing needles. You can share like AIDS and other like blood diseases like that, which are like awful, and it obviously isn't helping on top of the drugs. So I think that you need to slowly but surely help people stop using them.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so just to switch the topic, how do you think mental health is in Hamilton, and what kind of things are we doing in order to help that, Ryan?
Yeah, like mental health, I think, has been over the years recognized more and more as like a larger problem. There's used to be like obviously a large stigma around it, and like people were like, not really expressing how they really felt and stuff like that. But I think now, like within Hamilton and like Ontario in general, like they're offering a lot of like therapy and like social programs where people can go and get the help they need. Like even at McMaster, they always like promote like good mental health, and like if you are struggling mentally, like they have like programs or sessions that you can go to that like can alleviate some of the mental struggles that you're going through, and like you can also like MSAF exams and stuff like that if you're really like having a tough time, and they take it very seriously, just as like a lot of other universities do as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an important thing to focus on. What do you guys think are, David? What are some organizations that people can get in touch with regards to any type of healthcare issues, any drug related, mental health stuff like that? So, what are some organizations in Hamilton that are helping out?
I think that obviously, if you are having any of these problems with drugs or mental health, I think the first place to go is the hospital, if it's close enough for you. Like St. Joe's offers a mental health and wellness resource center, which provides people in recovery, their families, and community members with easy access to reliable, user-friendly information about mental health, addictions, and related issues today. And then, like, further from that, like, if it's like a specific drug issue and you're looking for help, there's a lot of drug rehab programs and like centers around Hamilton that you can go to, and an even more accessible way to talk to somebody about it or to get advice or know like places close to you that can help. There's a lot of like phone numbers and websites that you can call and talk to an agent that can put you in the right direction on where to go to get the right help for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's important to highlight these issues, especially because it's so prevalent in Hamilton. And I think we had a good discussion today. So I think that about wraps up this episode 3 for the community. So I hope to see you guys all soon. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, I just want to do one last closing remark. Just to expand. I just want to make the point that if you are like struggling with like any sort of like health problem, like mental health or like drug addiction, like Hamilton and like Ontario's like healthcare system in general like offers like a lot of help centers and like helplines, rehab centers. So there is the opportunity to always come clean. Like it's not like there's nothing there for you, as it always like might feel that way. But that's not true. Like there's many people like there to support you. So yeah, I just want to close off on that, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you guys.
Yeah.